Hello and welcome to Creature Tales, a podcast from RSPCA Victoria. I'm your host, Alexandra Keefe, and thank you for tuning in. Knowing what your pet is thinking or feeling can be a very tricky task. Luckily, there are experts out there that can help really improve the life of your pet. When it comes to pet mental health, you can't go past a vet behaviourist. They specialise in pet mental health and psychology and can help you understand what your pet is going through. I had the opportunity to sit down with vet behaviourist Dr. Gabrielle Carter. Gabrielle is one of only 3 vet behaviourists in the entire country, making her one of the go-to people when it comes to pet mental health. She studied in the US at Purdue University in Illinois and currently is a learning and development consultant for RSPCA Victoria. Dr. Gabrielle, welcome.
Thank you.
Gabrielle, can you take me through exactly what a vet behaviourist is?
A vet behaviourist is a veterinary specialist, so we're veterinarians and then have done 3 or more years of study specifically in animal behaviour. What we do is treat animals with behavioural and mental health issues.
Now, you are one of only 3 vet behaviourists in Australia. Why is this such a rare field?
It's taken a while, perhaps 30 years, for even vets in general practice to take on mental health issues in the pets.
When should someone come and see a vet behaviourist?
People get really confused when their pet's not behaving the way they want it to, whether they should go and see the vet or go and see a trainer or perhaps see a specialist such as myself. What I like to do is think about it as you would with children. There's trainers out there that are like teachers. So they're going to be teaching our animals the basics. And some of those teachers are going to have some extra skills. Then you're also going to have psychologists, and then you have the psychiatrist level where the veterinary behaviour specialists come in. And we're able to make a diagnosis of mental health problems, and we can also prescribe medications as appropriate.
Do you think the everyday person thinks about the mental health of their pets?
Yeah, it's a new concept in lots of ways. It shouldn't be. When we think about it, animals are very much like us. We're all mammals. We all have livers, we all have kidneys, we all have hearts, and the more research that's coming out of the human field in defining mental health problems in people, we can see very, very strong parallels when we look at our dogs and cats.
And what are some of those key issues that you see?
Most of the problems I see have underlying anxiety as the issue. That will encompass cases like aggression, so cats and dogs that are showing aggression towards other animals or towards people, separation anxiety, noise phobias, compulsive disorders. There's 2 big things that have made a difference in my work. And one is the acknowledgement and definition of post-traumatic stress disorder in dogs. And this started actually with dogs that were coming back from war zones, from having served in Afghanistan and Iraq. And what they noticed is that they were showing similar signs and behaviours as some of the soldiers that had returned. And subsequently they did their research and said, yep, these dogs have post-traumatic stress disorder. By defining it, that enables us to think differently about how to manage it. And it doesn't just apply to dogs that come back from war zones. We can see this for dogs that have been hit by cars, maybe even been savaged by another dog, have been subject to weather events like fires, floods, hurricanes. I think we're increasingly recognising post-traumatic stress disorder in dogs, and that's really allowing us to help a lot more of them out.
What are some of the symptoms of an animal that might have post-traumatic stress?
Anxiety and depression are obviously really big signs of that. And yeah, look, it's very varied like people in how it's actually expressed. So you can see things like agoraphobia, animals that just don't want to go out of the house now. They used to be fine, and now they just won't go out. Animals that become really depressed. Animals that become really difficult to train. Other cases are just like, no, I'm going to go and hide in the wardrobe for a week.
And given what we know now about post-traumatic stress, do you know if that will change how service animals are used going forward?
Yes, certainly. They're looking at that and looking at ways to try and prevent the development of post-traumatic stress in their dogs as well as obviously in their people.
Do you think when people learn about post-traumatic stress that it increases their understanding and empathy for animals?
Yeah, it's really big part of it. So if a dog's not wanting to go for a walk or stopping on walks and people are getting really frustrated and it's embarrassing, and if they understand that actually it's having a bit of a panic attack, they're going to manage that a whole lot differently, and they're going to be much more sympathetic and empathetic towards their animal. By far, if you survey people that have seen veterinary behaviourists, the thing that they get out of that the most is understanding why the animal is behaving the way that it is.
Gabrielle, can you take me through a particular case that comes to mind where you've really been able to help a pet live a better life?
Well, all my cases really. One that comes to mind would be a little dog, a little terrier cross that came from a shelter. The owners got it when it was about 5 months of age, and it was really timid. Very, very scared, hid in the backyard in the corner for the first 2 days. Slowly came into the house, was very difficult to handle, didn't like its feet being handled. There was a train line about a block away and it would not go towards the train line. Was absolutely terrified of trains going by. You could see she wanted to be friendly, but she was just really, really scared. So we did put this dog on some anti-anxiety medication. It was actually really helpful. So she was much more confident. And then we started with our behaviour modification plan. And that really involved lots of work on the behalf of the owner. And this is just crucial to our success, is owner compliance. So we started doing some exercises where just walking out the front gate and giving the dog some treats, some high-value treats, some roast chicken, in fact. And then we would do that and wait outside, and she was quite happy while trains went by. Over time, we could walk closer and closer to the trains. We actually got the owner to pair the train going by with a treat. And so what happened in the end is that the dog would listen for the trains, look up at the owner and say, "Where's my treat?" So we had some really good success with that one.
That's amazing. And what's it like for you seeing that positive impact and turning that dog's life around?
When I was doing my residency, my mentor said to me, the primary part of our job is not solving the behaviour and mental health problems. It's actually building and maintaining the bond between the owner and the animal. So it's really about trying to find a way for the pet and the owner to live happily together. And that's going to be different for everyone.
Do you have any special tips for owners to help improve the life of their pets?
Actually, I do. I have one really big tip. I know from experience that it can just change your relationship so much, and that is learning to read the body language of your cat or your dog, or your rabbit or your guinea pig for that matter. This is a major communication tool for animals, and often they're giving owners lots and lots of messages about what's going wrong, what they're experiencing, but owners aren't able to pick it up. A classic one is I'll say to owners, look, when your dog's licking its lips or yawning, it's often a sign that it's feeling a little bit stressed, a little bit uncomfortable. I will have that owner come back the next week and they'll say, look, I've just realised it's the busy roads and it's the traffic lights that's really stressing the dog out. He starts licking his lips and yawning when we're on the busy road. So that little bit of information has just changed the life for both the owner and the dog.
That's fascinating. I'm sure so many people will find that absolutely life-changing. Now, being a specialist in this field, what would be your dream for this area going forward over the next 10, 20 years?
Look, I think it's not a dream. I think it's going to happen. It is happening already. I think it's a developing awareness of mental health issues in our pets and a greater understanding of what drives some of those problems and behaviour problems that we commonly see. So another big advancement, I think, in the recent decade has been the research that's been done into the effects of punishment-based training. And basically we know that if you use confrontational training techniques, you're much more likely to elicit aggression from a dog. They're much more likely to be anxious and fearful, have like separation, distress, those sorts of problems. So there's some really good research coming out to change the way that we interact and live with these animals that's only going to benefit their welfare and our relationship with them.
Do you think that understanding has increased even since you've started in this area?
Absolutely. There are a growing number of people that understand what veterinary behaviourists are, and I think primarily in the veterinary field as well. Vets are actually acknowledging that this is an area or a discipline that is credible and that they need. So clients are coming in and asking for help with behavioural problems, and if vets are feeling underskilled in that area, they know they now have somewhere to refer to. So it's all about education and awareness. It's a very exciting field to be in. We're on the frontier of a new discipline, as we are with mental health in people, but it's really going to help the welfare of animals in the long term. We've done a lot in the last 50 years to recognise that animals do experience pain, and now we give them pain relief. I think we're on the track of recognising that they have mental distress and that we can also do something to relieve that.
That was Dr. Gabrielle Carter talking about the importance of understanding mental health in pets. Now, some pet owners might be familiar with animal behaviourists, who play an incredibly important role in helping pets lead happy, healthy lives. At RSPCA Victoria, animal behaviourists are an essential part of the shelter system, helping our animals overcome trauma, anxiety, and much more. I sat down with two of RSPCA Victoria's superstar animal behaviourists. Roxy and Nikki, can you take me through what a day in the life of an animal behaviourist looks like?
We'll sort of pick the dogs that are not coping so well, I suppose, and we'll start to get them out and try to work out what will de-stress them and what the best thing is for those dogs. Are they panting? Are they spinning in circles? How they interact with staff? Are they really stressed in this environment? How can we make their time here better?
We see quite a few animals with historical issues as well. So obviously, whilst we're concerned with their behaviour here, we do have a lot of animals coming into us with, not the best start in life. So obviously we work closely with our inspectorates and we support everybody that adopts an animal from us as well.
There is a lot of time and effort and heartbreak. Seeing these animals upset or, distressed, it distresses us. So, we want to be able to make sure that we're doing the right thing by these animals and be able to give them, a great start in their new life.
Cats are a huge thing as well. We've got way more cats than we do dogs, and in some ways they're even more challenging to some respects.
What would be some of those key issues with cats that people need help with?
Cats are just a little bit different from us. Dogs, I think we think of them as quite similar to us in many ways. Cats are just a little bit different. One of the main things we see is shy cats, timid cats. They need a lot of time, and quite often a lot more time than people realise.
What would you say the most challenging part of the job is?
I suppose seeing court hold dogs here for so long and, the stress of the animals, I suppose, that makes it harder.
No matter what you do, the shelter environment's never going to be an ideal environment for them to be in. We don't want them here, so we've got that kind of drive.
Are there common issues that you see in animals that have come from traumatic backgrounds?
A lot of them come in shut down, don't they? So just, every animal's different, so it's just finding out what makes them tick and what drives that animal. So it's a lot of patience and trying different things. So whether it be food, toys, sometimes I find that just getting the animal out of the kennel and taking it out is a great start. So a lot of these shut down animals can sort of come around once they're out of those four walls and out of that noise.
And what would be some tips and tricks for people at home to really just help improve the life of their pets?
Enrichment's a big one. Dogs need to be mentally challenged as well as physically challenged. You'll find that it helps with behaviour problems as well. There's a lot more enrichment, like toys out there now that gets dogs thinking, and it makes a big difference.
You two have been doing your roles for a while now. Do you continue to feel shocked by some of the cases that you see?
I think education needs to get out there that, with having an animal, and it's not all, roses. You need to put in the hard work. It's like having a baby, it's the same thing. Babies, they have to be taught right and wrong, or it's like with animals. If they're jumping up or something, teach them another behaviour, teach them sit. You need that time and effort into them, otherwise they do become unruly. That cute little puppy in the window is going to grow up. I've seen some prices on puppies at the moment, and then you come into a shelter and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many beautiful animals here that just need that little bit of TLC and a little bit of training and could be amazing.
Would you be encouraging more people than ever before to come and visit the shelter?
I'd always be saying that over adopting, from anywhere else. We're seeing now a lot of 6-8 month old puppies coming into the shelter, almost like COVID puppies.
And how does that make you feel?
Angry, upset. But yeah, at least we can get them out pretty quickly and we can, find the right homes.
There's been a huge uptake of foster carers this year due to COVID. Can you tell me how that has impacted your work?
I think at one point we had more dogs in foster than we had on site here in Burwood. That was an amazing feeling.
These animals are not sitting around for a couple of weeks waiting for a foster carer now. They're sort of being snapped up straight away, which is fantastic and gives us a lot more insight to what they're like in a home environment.
They go from a shivering wreck in the kennel to being like this very happy, bouncy dog that's sleeping on a couch. And then we've had a lot of foster, we call them foster fails, but I think they're foster wins, really, where people end up adopting. Most of our animals, the pets that we have at home, a lot of them have pretty small worlds, Most of them, if you think of, your average cat, we encourage people to keep their cats inside. The average cat might not have ever really been outside of the walls of a home, and then suddenly it's put in this place and it's overload. And the same goes for dogs. Obviously they get out and about more, but most dogs will have a circle that they live in. And I don't think people appreciate that.
What would you both say is the best part of your job?
Transforming dogs. My big drive is play groups. I love to see dogs interacting with other dogs. Getting one of those scared dogs out and just seeing it transform into something else.
Yeah, seeing them joyful.
I think for me too is hearing like the stories of after the dogs have been adopted. We get a lot of feedback from the rescue groups of the dogs that, have gone out to rescue, and the photos, and that always sort of, I suppose that drives us.
Those were animal behaviourists Roxy and Nikki from RSPCA Victoria. Thank you so much for joining us today. That does conclude our show for now. If you'd like more information, please visit the Creature Tales podcast page on the RSPCA Victoria website. I'll be back again soon with another episode, and thank you for tuning in.